Welcome to Founders Future, a podcast powered by Closers.io, where we dive into the journeys of innovative entrepreneurs and explore the road ahead of them and their companies. I'm your host, Olivia Salmons, and in each episode we'll uncover the stories behind impactful ventures, the challenges faced along the way, and the strategies driving their future growth. Today, I'm very excited to be joined by Fabienne Hansen. Fabienne will be sharing more about her founding journey and giving us a glimpse into plans for future growth. Fabienne, welcome to Founders Future. Thank you so much for joining me here today. It's such a pleasure to have you here.
Hi, Olivia. So great to have you here too. I'm very excited to dive into so many topics that are really, topics a lot of entrepreneurs don't talk about.
Yeah, we're going to unmask it all. I'm very excited to dive in and learn more about your journey. So, with all of my guests, I do actually like to start at the beginning. So, if you don't mind briefly taking me back to what it was you was doing before you jumped into the coaching world, and then from there, what was the motivation behind it?
Absolutely. Yeah. So I actually used to be in the corporate world. I had a once in a lifetime opportunity to start a new office for Mercedes-Benz in the Bay Area, which was one of the most fun things. And that really got me into entrepreneurship in general. I used to be an engineer, so very different from what I do today. And when I turned 30, I got diagnosed with a pre-stage of cervical cancer. And so that literally completely alternated my whole life, because I would never forget how I was just like in the bathroom when I heard the news from the doctor, and I was just thinking to myself like, whoa, if I were to die this year, what would I have contributed to the world so far? And back then I was like, wow, I just made Mercedes-Benz richer, but I didn't really make a huge impact. And so that's kind of what's kicked off my, I would say, personal development journey first, and then kind of going into coaching.
I love that. So, like, really looking at your own journey and what can I do next? Like, where do I need to go? And thank you for
Yeah,
sharing that as well. Really cool. So let's
absolutely.
dive into this. So, how did you find that transition from corporate to entrepreneurship? I know you said it was something you was quite eager to do, but was it kind of smooth transition for you? Was it smooth sailing the
Oh,
whole way? Never gets
absolutely
there.
not. As you know, especially when you've been in corporate for so long and very successful,
Yeah.
as a high performer, it's very hard to run your own business, right? Because it completely requires an identity shift. And so what I did is I gradually eased myself into entrepreneurship by really creating a side business. And I started seeing like, oh, I really help others grow revenue pretty quickly, and especially influencers who have had problems like monetizing, because they still were stuck in a 9 to 5 job. And I was like, wow, I really want to help others scale to 6 figures without losing their 6 figure job. Because I noticed when I worked, with a lot of people from Google, Facebook, Amazon, that they were so freaking smart, but so stuck in the corporate world. And so I wanted to support them in creating a creative outlet where they can like then grow on the side and then eventually leave. And so that was kind of like what I had in mind, and it worked really well. I had a membership side, I scaled all of this. And then last year, I had to file for divorce. I'm not going to go into the reasons, but that like completely changed my life. And
Yeah.
one of the things I noticed was that I was so stuck in the doing, and that I used my business as an escape from the relationship.
Yeah.
So I was just like addicted to work and created that whole business on the foundation of avoidance, which I know now is a very common practice as an entrepreneur. And so I really took the past year to connect with myself, really figure out more how to love myself. And the funniest part was this past year, I worked the least and I attracted the most money ever. And so then I was like, wow, I want to switch to business coaching with a focus of self-worth.
That's
And
so
that's where I'm
cool.
today.
Yeah, and that's who we are, because we did obviously mention the pivot earlier on before we started recording. So let's dive into what the business looks like today then, so the listeners can have a little bit of context moving forward. So like, who would you say is your ideal client? Like, who do you very much love to work with the most? And then from there, how is it
Yeah, I mean,
helping? How do you support them?
absolutely. So female business owners who are stuck in the doing, right? Who are
Yeah.
just so depleted, exhausted, and also who, I mean, it's like you always are best positioned to serve yourself a couple of years ago, right? So that's my ideal customer, where I was just stuck in the doing and just scaling and just looking at the money. But like every milestone I accomplished, I literally was just feeling emptier. And
Yeah.
so that is my ideal customer. And what I'm like really now focusing in on is you don't have to work harder to make more money, because I literally learned that this past year. And so that's kind of like where I'm focusing on now. As I mentioned, I pivoted, but I started really saying goodbye to all my old clients, which was very hard because it was a successful business, it was good. And really just saying goodbye to all the revenue and saying, okay, this is not my ideal customer anymore. My ideal customer is different. And so how I started regaining sales is I literally just went through referrals, right? I have a really big network here in Austin, Texas, and there are tons of entrepreneurs here, female business
City of entrepreneurs.
coaches. So, yeah, exactly. A lot. And I always notice that it's so good to have just a second view, right? Because sometimes our business is so our identity. And that's actually, I think, the biggest challenge that I support. And like, how can your business be your asset, right? And like that switch will support, first of all, in not working harder, but working smarter, and like integrating systems and AI and delegating in order to scale. But also at the same time, if you can't sit still with yourself and be happy just by doing nothing, you're never going to be fulfilled in your business. So those are kind of like the two things that I really merge into one business practice.
I love it. And it is that essence, just going back to what you said at the start, like of working smarter and not harder sometimes. And I feel like that corporate seeks sleeps into people sometimes when they are just working hard. Just working hard.
Oh
It's
yeah.
kind of the only go-to they know is burnout at the end of the day sometimes. And it's unfortunate to see because there are other ways you can earn money in a much better, healthier manner for yourself, like making sure your own cup is full. So
Yeah,
I love
and that's what we learn, right? Like that's the
yeah,
challenge. In order to climb the corporate ladder, it's like
that's it.
who stays the longest, right? Who comes the
Yeah.
earliest? And it's so like in the entrepreneurial world, it's about, do you get results faster?
You
Right? Like that's
literally,
really
yeah.
what it matters. It's like
Literally, it's like
I have
it's
a
such a
friend
catch
who like
22
literally works.
sometimes.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. But like literally works 4 hours a day and makes like, $300,000. And I'm like, you figured it out, right? And it's
Yeah.
all about really like so many, especially first time entrepreneurs, they focus so hard on developing the best product without ever growing an audience, without ever marketing what the problem is that their product is solving,
Yep.
versus I would say second time entrepreneurs, and that's like more my core audience. They know how important audience growth is and building that trust, right? Because people don't really care what you sell, they really care about why you sell it
Exactly.
and
They
how it.
actually they care about the problem it's solving, not the person itself. And it is often like convoluted like that, and it
Yeah.
becomes too personal for them. And yeah, you end up with a glorified job at the end of the day, which is not the right steps to take. Also perfectionism comes into that a lot. I mean, as entrepreneurs, most people are perfectionists. It's why they become an entrepreneur. It's part of that package sometimes, but it
Yeah.
is about just not being perfect along the way. You can figure things out as you go. The scariest part sometimes is just doing it, and people do not do it. They focus on the wrong things. But I do want to kind
And
of get
that's
into
actually a great thing, Olivia. I want to hone in on that real quick,
yeah,
because especially switch from like a 9 to 5 to entrepreneurship, right? Like is the like if you fail in your 9 to 5, you're gonna get fired.
yeah.
If you fail as an entrepreneur, you actually succeed, because the more you fail, the better you get, right?
You're
And so
learning
like
all the
that's
time.
also a mindset.
Yeah, so true. But I do want to get the nuts and bolts a little bit of the business because I know we mentioned we've used referrals a lot to kind of get the pivot off the road. But like what channels, what methods are you really finding most effective at the moment in acquiring customers for yourself? Like where are you
I
putting your
mean, yeah, so
efforts?
the absolutely. So I mean, I think there's no, especially if you're one-on-one coach, I would always say the best way to do is go through your network, right? And really enroll people in their vision and how you can support them in getting there, right? Sometimes that's not the case, but I think even just the value of connecting others, like, is really, really key. I mean, I know that on your podcast you talk a lot about just like providing massive value for free, and I think that's literally how the universe will give you clients, right? In the beginning, when you really focus on that. That's one piece, referrals. One of the things I just started doing is I literally had one of my friends reach out and was like, you got to go on LinkedIn. You know, it's a billion user platform. And I did not know it's a crazy stat. When you post once a day, you're in the top 0.01%
LinkedIn.
content creators,
Yeah.
you know? So she's like, just do it daily for years and like you're gonna be fine. And that's one of the things too I noticed is like I get basically warm leads from it, but I'm also starting to do outreach there.
Okay,
So
cool.
those are kind of like the two big channels that I use to like restart my business.
Yeah. And are you doing all the outreach and stuff yourself then, or you have like a team that help you out on the back end of things?
Yeah. Right now I'm doing it myself, but absolutely going to outsource that,
Okay.
right? Because I do
Yeah.
believe that you got to be in your genius zone. I
Fully.
think it's like it's all about trying it out once, but then also getting support of someone who just can do it way better than you, right? Because that's the thing. Like if we're just trying to do everything on our own, like that's where we burn out.
Yeah. Again, going back to the start, it's like the early founder syndrome. You feel like you have to do all the jobs yourself. Like just investing in your
Yeah.
business is sometimes the best decision you'll ever make.
Oh,
For
absolutely.
yourself. So like obviously we're at the start of the year. I'm very intrigued to find out what your plans are for 2026. So like when you think of the next 6 to 12 months and scaling the business and the pivot, what does that
Yeah.
look like to you? Like what is your goal? What is your vision?
Oh yeah, I love this. So for me, actually, one of the things I did on New Year's Eve was I was actually thinking about what are childhood dreams that died, which is like really very unrelated to the business, but somehow related. Because what I realized is I really was so keen on becoming a journalist. And one person like literally destroyed the dream, and that's why I did not pursue it. And funny enough, New Year's Eve, I was talking to a friend and they're like, yeah, like I use my podcast as a funnel. And I was like, huh, I haven't really thought about that, but that would be fun. So I could like revive a childhood dream and combine it with a funnel and just also
Oh,
create just amazing conversation. So the big news is I'm actually going to launch a podcast called Worthy, Wealthy, and Wildly Free.
I love that. When is the podcast set to come out?
Yes. So I'm planning right now the launch party, which is going to be end of this month. So most likely the 30th. I'm trying to like get the venue ready.
I love podcasts. Podcasts are also a great tool for marketing, like as you mentioned there, but also you get the double-edged sword where you're always filming content. So as we mentioned, like in
Yeah,
anyone that's looking to scale on LinkedIn, all you need to do is be posting content once a day. A podcast is such a great
absolutely.
way to do that as well. You know, you're always in front of people and just connecting with everybody. And they're very fun.
And I mean,
Very fun.
that's the other thing too that I think I started to teach also my clients is when you have that podcast content, all of this. I mean, there's so many amazing AI tools now where like literally it filters out your voice and it supports you in writing content in your voice. And I mean, why wouldn't you use it? Right? If it sounds like ChatGPT, don't use it. But if it sounds like you, why wouldn't you use it?
Yeah, exactly that. And I feel the other end of that, if you've got someone listening to your voice for 15 to 20 minutes a day, they're going to want to work with you, hopefully, at the end of it,
Absolutely.
because you're already there. They resonate with what you're talking about. But thank you so much for joining me today, Fabian, for sharing your incredible journey and insight with us. Where can our listeners reach out best to work with you or connect with you if they would like to do so?
Absolutely. Yeah, I have not the easiest name. So my website is basically my name, FabienneHansen.com. We make sure that we put a link in the description below, but just reach out to me on LinkedIn. That's usually the fastest way to get in touch with me. I'm rehauling my website right now, but it's actually going to go live on Friday. So
Beautiful.
yeah, I'm
Just
very excited.
perfect. And thank you again for joining us. And to our listeners, if you enjoyed this episode, please be sure to go and drop Fabienne a message. And do not forget to subscribe to Founders Future by wherever you listen to your favourite podcasts. And if you are a business owner, specifically a coach, consultant, or agency owner, and you're really looking to scale your business and you want to enhance your sales and marketing efforts, visit closers.io to hop on a call with one of our team and discover how we went from $0 to $30 million per year in less than 3 years. But until then, keep on climbing and we will see you on the next one.